Acevedo Aesthetics Corp. This is Made in House. It's the show where we chat through various topics on design, culture, and the business of creativity. Now say hello and welcome Kary and Angel.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Oh, are we doing what is it? AM radio. Welcome back to Made in House late night edition.
Welcome back, everybody. It is season 3.
Season 3, guys. We're here. We did it.
You know what else it is?
We always do it. What?
Guess.
Your birthday month?
Yes, that's true. But what else?
Season 3.
Yes. What else?
I'm not. What else? What else is there?
It's Made in House's birthday.
Oh, it's our birthday.
It's our birthday.
Oh, wow, give it
Della,
up.
maybe some balloons or something.
Balloons, Della, and add
That'd be awesome.
clapping.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm a little what's the word? I'm a little under the weather. I guess disconnected a little bit. We're dealing with a little bit of a little raspiness, you know.
Yeah.
So apologize. I'm not as animated as I usually am, but we're here.
Can we go back to happy birthday?
Yeah, happy birthday to us, everybody. Happy birthday to us. It's been a year, 2 seasons in a year,
Yes.
which is pretty good, right? I think.
2
seasons in 1
Yes.
year. We took a month off, and we took I don't know how much time we've taken off already, but from between season 2 and season 3. But what a blessing this has been. Just such a fun journey and a fun project. This is Made in House. So as you can tell immediately, we're in another part of the house. So
That's funny.
I feel like season 1, we started at a corner
Yes.
of the living room.
Yes.
Season 2, we moved it towards like in the middle of the living room. And now we're working upstairs
In our studio.
in our
office.
studio area.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that, Kary?
It's pretty cool. And I'm proud of us for doing this for a whole year. I know we've had our high moments and our lows of like, should we keep doing this? And we just think it's fun. And I think whenever we get messages of people that watch an episode and it's encouraging them or helping them, guiding them in some way, like it makes it worth it. So thank you everybody for tuning in and for being here with us. And now I would like to go back to your health.
It's like my health. No, that's all I needed to say. But
We're both feeling a little bit of like an itchiness. Ave and our son had like a little bit of like sinus this week. And so we think whatever he had, we got a little bit of it. So hopefully this is the extent of it.
Yeah, hopefully. I blame it on other people's kids because we took them to a little playground area. And kids, guys, they're just gross. Except our kid. And probably your kid, if you have one. They're not as gross. But I think he for sure got it from some kind of
we took him
snotty.
to like one of those mall playgrounds. And
it was kind of cool.
It was fun. He had a lot of fun. And but I think like 2 days after that he started with like a little fever and whatever. I just think it's part of like his immune development.
Yeah.
But
100%.
I hope you feel better, babe.
Thank you.
And
Thank
hopefully this is the extent. I'm proud of you for taking zinc, magnesium.
That's right.
You took honey.
I did.
And you may do salt and water.
Gargling salt and water.
Which is a big deal for you.
It is a big deal for me.
Big deal.
I'm not the best. I don't know what you call it. In Spanish, you say malamañoso. I don't know how you say it in English.
Like you're
In
kind
Puerto
of a little
Rico,
picky.
I'm a little picky, I guess, when it comes down to the medicines that I take. And yeah, so but sometimes when you're in so much pain, it's like you just got to do it. So, but we're here as always. We want to thank our members, our housemates. Thank you so much for supporting this project that we got going on. This is season 3 already, and we have some cool things planned. The fun thing is that when we started this, we weren't sure where we were essentially going or how long we were going to do it for. Or it's always scary when you're starting something because it's like you're committing to something, So for us, it's more so like as long as we continue doing it, even though we may. Our schedule may shift a little bit. It's a little fluid, which we thank you guys for your patience. I feel like that's fine. I think we're still winning. We have a baby. We're doing different projects and stuff. So
yeah,
I'm sure Kary feels exactly the same as I feel. Right, Kary?
Yeah, I'm a little bit more of like a perfectionist. So I don't think we've been as consistent in all the little micro deals.
Sure.
But I think overall we've been very consistent. And yeah, we just show up to the best of our ability. I think this season might even be a little bit more fluid. I don't know if we'll release episodes bi-weekly. We may just do once a month. Just kind of keeping in tune with the season that we're in and the pace that we're able to do without getting too unhealthy or start complaining about all the things that we have to do. So we may do that. So just hang with us for a little bit. This season might be a little bit of a different pace. Who knows? Maybe 1 month we'll do 1 episode. Maybe another month we'll do 2.
Right. That's true.
I'm into that fluidity a little bit and see how it goes.
Maybe we'll do it like on the road, like house.
Oh yeah, we
made a
talked
house
about
on the
that.
road. We
Yeah.
have so many friends that we want to talk to and interview and just have conversations with about their creative journey. And guys, there's no lacking in content and no lacking in resources. We're just, I think time is sort of our, like even for this setup, we moved it up here. Our setup is a lot more, what's the word? Not slim. Like we trimmed the fat a little bit, just to kind of make the setup a little bit faster. And I always say my laziness makes me very efficient, so is that my
What's your 2-word brand? Is lazy genius.
Lazy genius is what Kary calls me.
Yeah,
And
lazy
I wear it with pride, so.
So speaking of kind of streamlining the setup a little bit more. So we're in our studio. This is the office that we work in every day. We call our office studio because we like that work in progress, kind of like workmanship, a little messy kind of vibe. It's how we work and we're into it. So it's just a room in our house. It's the 3rd bedroom of our house.
Yep.
And we turn it into our studio. And so I think within the last year, we really committed to like making it more of a vibe.
Right.
And so we invested a little bit into like some furniture and like shelving because we have so many things. And so this is it. And it actually makes the setup a lot easier for it, which is also really good because sometimes we can get bogged down by the setup of just the podcast and the lighting. Remember, like we're graphic designers. So like setting up a podcast with audio and lighting, and sometimes it's very technical with like the camera setup or the settings. And so I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Because this has been a year in the making, and you did this in like 30 minutes, which is awesome.
Yeah. I think there's still some kinks that we want to figure out as far as the lighting goes. Like Kary said, this is, we're just traditional graphic designers. So all this that we've done, and on the white cam, you can kind of see. Actually, you can't even see anything on the white cam. We may have to do like a behind the scenes thing. I've just talked to all my friends and my videographer friends that do cinematography and lighting, and that's sort of what I've sort of figured out. On the wide cam, if you put the wide cam, you'll see sort of our studio space. This is my computer space. I have this Samsung monitor here that's actually super helpful that I mounted on the wall. That's a whole other story, like going into the studs or whatever. We got this beautiful light coming in here on my left, and then we got a little crafty area over here where your boys, you can see it, which is actually kind of cool. And we have a lot of cool markers and inks and brushes and stuff. Yeah. So whenever Kary feels creative, that's where she does it. And this whole area was actually inspired by Matthew and Cena. When I always forget the name. I always reference people and I forget the name of the brand. His brand, where he has a studio space and he talks about how he built his studio space. I'll put it in the description. Yes. You know which one I'm talking about. Yes. Modular.
I'm not sure.
Dang, Matthew, I'm so sorry. Anyway, he inspired this whole thing. So what are we talking about? What's been happening, Kary? What are we talking about?
Before we get into the topic of discussion.
Oh boy.
Let's talk about the art direction for this season.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we've been doing is we changed the look, not just the set, but we also changed the look, the art direction.
Right.
And so I was pulling up some references, and I kind of get bored by like being in the same for a while, and so I wanted to try some different things. But we actually landed in this idea of like using Polaroids, and we actually have an original Polaroid that was refurbished by the Impossible Group, and I gifted this to Angel. It's right behind me. It's right there. I gifted this to Angel. I think it was like a Valentine's Day
gift, I'll show it here on my camera.
Maybe like 2013 or something. And so yeah, so we actually pulled it out of our shelf and we're like, let's try this out. And so it's still TBD because as we're filming this, we may we're still finalizing the final look, but we may use the Polaroids as part of our thumbnails.
Right.
And so here they go.
Oh, you may have to the focus. Yeah, keep it back.
Okay.
There you can see it. Yeah,
there you go.
You're able to see
And
it.
so we're thinking that
how did they come out?
we'll each take a photo, and that'll be like the thumbnail photo
This is mine.
for YouTube. So work in progress. We'll see how it turns out.
This is Kary.
It's me right here. Pretty cool. Put yours next to.
Oh wait,
Next
actually
to
it
you.
was this one. This one was actually
Yeah. There we go.
me looking like.
This is our thumbnail photo,
I
everyone.
don't know.
So
Put it here.
it's just fun. We're just having fun, and it's
Yeah, it's
part of-
definitely more analog for sure,
Yeah.
and I think it's a good challenge, is every season to try to reimagine what
Yeah.
the brand will look like. So
Yes.
I'm having trouble thinking.
You're so good, baby.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so for today's topic,
Yeah.
I didn't know this was a controversy. So I guess I found out yesterday it was a controversy.
Yeah.
And we're talking about student loan forgiveness. So I think it was May 1st, which was Wednesday.
Wait, before you get into that, I want to say disclaimer. We know what we know. We don't. There's a lot of
sure.
nuances to the student loan forgiveness, and ours is particular because we went to the Art Institute, which is what Kary's going to explain. Ours is very specific to this lawsuit that happened. So we're not, attorneys. We don't know the ins and outs. We don't know a lot of the effects of what this is going to have. But we know that we're beneficiaries of something really incredible, which we're
Yeah,
going to
this
talk
is
about.
not some political
Statement
conversation,
of,
so just disclaimer.
Yeah.
Please don't bash us in the comments.
Yeah, guys, give
Be
us some
gentle.
grace.
We're literally ordinary people who do our very best to
For real.
abide by the law and pay what we need to pay.
And pay our taxes
Right.
and pay our loans.
All right, back to May 1st, Wednesday. I get to my desk, which is on the other side, and I go on my email, and I see an email from the federal something. And
Department of
Yes, I didn't even think twice about it. I've had student loans since I went to the Art Institute in 2012. I had to take out $90,000 worth of student loans. This is with already having had a bachelor's degree. So because I had a bachelor's degree, basically going to the Art Institute was kind of like getting like a master's because I only needed to do like 2 years or a year and a half worth of schooling because I didn't need to take math and English and all that stuff. But I still had to take out $90,000 in student loans. And the reason was because all of my bright futures, all of my scholarship money had been used by FIU, which is where I got my first degree. And truthfully, I never qualified for scholarship money. My parents made too much money. I just never hit the racket. I always had to get like really good grades. And so the most I got was bright futures. And I used it all up. And so in order to go to art school, I needed to take out these loans. My parents couldn't pay for it. It was an adult decision that I had made at that point, right? Adult. I was an adult, but it's not like I knew the ins and outs of anything. Whatever. That doesn't matter. I got the loans. I went to school. I had, I think, a good experience in school. I had moments where I learned stuff, and then I had moments where I was like, bro, you need to catch up to the times. Specifically, like I took a web class, and they were still
Flash.
teaching, yes, Flash.
This was, what year was this?
This was 2013.
2013. I just want to pause on this. And they had a Flash course that costs, how much did that? It costs, I want to
I
say,
don't know.
per credit. I think total was, it was four to 5 credits, I think, at the time.
remember.
Guys, it costs about $3,000 this course. Flash, which Adobe discontinued
Like a year after.
like a year after or something like that. But this was a mandatory class that she needed to take, which was kind of wild. I took it too when I went in 2000 and between 6 and 10, but I was just kind of surprised that they were still teaching that.
So even in that class, like whatever, I did the Flash requirements, but I had already learned WordPress on my own. And so I ended up building my whole portfolio on WordPress, and it looked better than everybody else's in the class because they did Flash. Anyway, that was my experience at the Art Institute. I get out of school, I have $90,000 worth of debt. Half of my debt was private student loans. The other half was federal funded loans. My parents were co-signers of the private loans.
Right.
I have way too much respect for my parents, so that private loan I prioritized. That was the thing that I would like pay, and we paid that off. Praise God. The federal one, because I had these two loans and I had to pay them at the same time, I couldn't pay it, and it ended up kind of like defaulting and messing up my credit. And we worked really hard eventually years later to undo that and like work on my credit and stuff like that and make it better. And they had just recently kind of been like reactivated. I don't know the right term, but it went to like a collector or something. So I set it up and I'm like, I'm gonna pay this and I'm gonna pay it on time. I had already paid the first 30 grand that I had taken out, or 60, whatever. And so that's what I did. I get this email Wednesday, and it's telling me that my loans are forgiven. And I couldn't believe it. So I opened the email. I read it briefly. I'm like, Angel, come look at this. And then I start recording on my phone because I just knew it was like a moment. So I call Angel, and then he starts reading, and I read with him because I had literally only read like the first 3 sentences. And it basically saying that all of my loans are forgiven, that I don't have to make any payments, I don't have to do anything. I'm like, literally, like, we got emotional because it was like, wow, like, amazing. I was surprised. I didn't expect it. I didn't apply for anything to get any kind of relief. And I was just like, what amazed me the most was like, ordinary people like us don't get breaks like that. You know, I've never gotten a break like that in my life, other than my parents saving me, you know?
Yes.
And so it was like, oh my God, for real, you know? And then truthfully, that was the extent of that. And then I shared it on social media as like a genuine moment of like you and I celebrating this thing.
Right.
Not really thinking about any other, I don't know, implications of it.
Yeah.
Also, just to be very transparent, like I don't keep up with news. I don't keep up with like all that political stuff. It's just too toxic for me. I really stay away from it. Most of my news I get from Angel.
And my YouTube channels that Philip DeFranco.
He kind of gives me so I just didn't know. I didn't know that people were against loan forgiveness. I didn't know that people whatever, and I still don't fully understand.
Right.
I tried going into ChatGPT and like Googling.
Yeah.
To understand a little bit more, but yeah, I didn't get the full scope. So that's my story. So apparently it's very controversial. It's something to do with taxes where it's forgiven for you, but that still needs to get paid back some way. And now it's like distributed to the general public to pay for in taxes. Yes.
It's yes and no, kind of. It's more of like a kind of. And as far as my reading and my understanding is, before we get into like the nuances and like how of the actual student loan forgiveness, when Kary told me, when she called me over, she started like jumping. She was like, I can't believe this. Like this feeling of relief is probably a pun, but this feeling of like shock. Because it happened to me as well last year, and we'll get into like how that happened. But this feeling of just like, I can't believe it, like it's too good to be true kind of thing. And when we posted it, when Kary was about to post it, I was like, I asked you, I was like, do you want to post about this, or should we post about this or talk about this? Because I know at least from this is very controversial depending on which side of like, or where in the political spectrum you kind of end. It's controversial mostly on one side, but so yeah, when we posted it, a shout out to like the comments were just very supportive, and other people that joined in that were like, man, mine too, I can't believe it, this is incredible. And again, this is not something that happens to us regular US citizens. Like a gift like that from above just does not happen to us, because for the most part we make too much to get government assistance in other areas, Medicaid or other social services, but we don't make guys, you know this, like the middle class, at least where we're at, we don't make enough even to like potentially purchase a house now with the housing crisis. And it's just, we're like in this weird middle ground where we're not like balling out of control, but we're also making too much for like help from the government. So the fact that this came in and this gifted to us was really powerful. You know, it was really powerful. And that's why Kary posted it, and we were very emotional about it.
Yeah, and to be honest, like, I was gonna pay my student loan back.
Right.
I wasn't trying to get out of it, you know. And I normally, sometimes I'm a little cautious about posting very personal things,
yes.
you know. But I don't know. It just felt like a celebration, you know. And I know that same day on Wednesday, people were texting us and like DMing us in different chats that we're in, like, did you guys get this email, whatever. And we were all just like, wow, you know. Also, to just explain why the government decided to do this, it's part of a lawsuit with what they called predatory practices.
Like loan lending. Yeah.
By specifically the Art Institute.
The Art Institute and multiple other colleges as well that were kind of involved in those.
Right. And so I know some people commented on that post asking, like, what did you do? How did this happen? I didn't do anything. I really was paying my student loans, and I just got this email. And I just happened to go to the Art Institute and get a loan by the Art Institute. And really, that's all it is.
Which the Art Institute now is bankrupt, does not exist. I think it was as of, around November time last year. They closed it.
No, I think 2022.
22 or 23?
Avon? No, you're right, 23.
23 because I did the Adobe talk.
Avon was a baby.
I think I did the Adobe talk 2 weeks after that.
Okay.
Because I'll put it on my presentation.
Mm-hmm.
They went upside down, and we'll get into that now. We gotta take a 2-second break because we want to talk about the lawsuit a little bit, which is really interesting. And I feel like a lot of people, it's easy for us to get, whenever we read like a headline or something happens or whatever, and if you don't agree with it, it's easy for you to leave a comment. And 90% of the comments were like super supportive and congratulatory. But there's other comments that are kind of like a little bit cynical and a little bit like, well, now my taxes got to pay for this or whatever, when in reality is not true. You got to dig deeper beyond the actual headline, which I'm trying to, and this is both, I feel like, Kary, you probably agree, is I'm trying to actively not let just one negative comment can ruin your day, which is the funniest thing. It's like you have hundreds of people celebrating you, but then it's just this one person takes one or two people.
Truthfully, yeah, I felt it because it annoyed me a little bit. Not that person said anything awful.
No, it wasn't
and
awful.
They're entitled to their opinion. Of course. Fine. It's more so like when I'm becoming more aware, trying to be more aware that when I publicize certain parts of my life, I'm opening up myself to that kind of stuff, and I just have to be okay with it. So I opened up that part of my life, and I have to be okay with it, and I'm okay with it. It's fine. We celebrate it. We're moving on, and hey, if the government changes its mind and says I have to pay for it, I'm gonna pay for the loan. Like, right. I'm not riding on this. I'm celebrating it for sure. But yeah. And
apparently, we were talking to a friend of ours. There is speculation that because this was forgiven, it could be counted, which I'm not sure. There's a lot of things, but I'm not sure this is true or not. It could be counted as income, and you may be taxed on what was forgiven. And in our conversation, I was like, look, if this is true, I don't mind paying for what was taxed. It's a lot less than the full amount itself. You know what I mean?
Truthfully, and I don't know if this is politically correct or not.
Sure.
I'd rather pay for taxes than pay to a private company that's just going to get richer.
Right.
So,
and scam.
Sure.
Pretty much.
So that's where I'm at with it.
Okay, so that was your experience, which is pretty recent. My experience started in 2019, actually. We were at this. I remember it specifically the day. It was we were at the studio, and I was made aware. I think in one of our groups, I don't know if it was tweeted or if it was on Facebook, one of our Art Institute groups. Someone posted about, hey, there's this class action lawsuit against the Art Institute for performing predatory practices when they were doing student loans. And I had deferred my loans, and I was paying my loans for a while, but I had to defer my loans because I just couldn't afford it at that time, which was fine. It's just part of it. But I remember that what they were talking about is essentially was if you had a bad experience with like job placement when you were graduated, if they promised you, that they were going to fight for you to get certain jobs, or if they were going to invite people to your portfolio to be there, things like that. And I've sort of resonated with me, and I thought that, look, the jobs that I found in graduation and the invites that I sent was because our group did it. I remember specifically our group, we printed them on 4-over, these little, and I have it somewhere, these little invites of our portfolio review. And we went to like Crisp and Porter, I think we went to Republica and these other sort of local agencies, and we like at least I did, I hand delivered the invitations to some of the creative directors. And I think Crisp and Porter, the creative directors and art directors, actually ended up going to our portfolio review. But it wasn't because the school, I don't know if I know that they sent invites. I personally don't know how effective they were at those invitations. Long story short, I'm not going to get super into it. I signed up for this lawsuit that a lot of fellow Art Institute students felt like they were not taken care of, and they were defrauded in the sense of like they promised us a lot and they didn't necessarily deliver. And we paid almost $100,000 on this, which at that time, dude, that was even, I went on 2006. I won a scholarship for 50% at Skills USA in 2005 and to the Art Institute because they were sponsored. And when I went, I needed to get the rest, which was 40-something thousand or 50-something thousand, which is a lot of money, So I signed up, and what was funny is the recruiter. I remember this specifically. The recruiter that got me in. I was already there, obviously, because I had a scholarship. Super friendly, answer all the questions or whatever. But once I got in, like, she disappeared. It was like I couldn't get a hold of her. I had questions about like my books and like how to pay for certain things. And then there's certain things that kind of snuck up on you that you didn't know you necessarily had to pay for. Maybe because of naivete, or you're naive, or you're ignorant, you don't necessarily know, or you didn't do your due diligence. There's obviously fault all around.
I think that happens to everybody, and it's not even part of just going to art school, because I remember going to FIU and being super lost. I just think that's part. When you go to school, first of all, you don't pay for school, like no regular school up to college, right? And if you need a book or something, they give you everything you need. But then you get to college, not only do you have to pay for college, whether it's out of pocket or a loan or a scholarship, you've got to pay for everything else too. All of your books, all of your materials. So the Art Institute was this $90,000 to $100,000 ticket price. And then we didn't really use books, but we needed materials, certain materials. And like some of the teachers were really specific about the things that you needed to buy, and they were all expensive, like micro pen, and that class was needed for drawing. And once the ink ran out, you had to get a new set, and all of that was very, very, very expensive.
Which you would think, like, for the amount that they were charging, like some of that stuff should be. I know that they included like a kit. I remember that big bag that they included. But some of the other stuff, I feel like it should.
A lot of that stuff I didn't even use.
Yeah,
it wasn't graphic
so the
design.
Art Institute would give, and I feel like, man, I don't want to sound like I'm hating on the Art Institute. I feel like my experience, like Kary said, her experience was mixed, and my experience was mixed as well. Like the people that I met, the teachers that I met at the time when I went were incredible. Mm-hmm. The dean that was there, Miss G, which was awesome. We still chat with them when we took
We're
trips.
actually supposed to do a meetup with
Miss G and a lot of the alums
this month.
Harry, Wholeness, man, I forget some of their other names, but Nettie, shout out to, they were great professors. And the older man, there was two of them. The one that passed away, there was a graphic designer. Like anyway, I'm like digressing. So I thought that some of that stuff should have potentially been included. I don't know, man. I just didn't know like a lot of the other expenses that I needed to take, and I needed to take out more loans to continue, because it's like once you start, what are you gonna do? Like drop out and then owe all this money anyway and not necessarily finish? It's like once you're there, it's like you gotta finish, you know?
Bro, you know what you just reminded me of?
What?
This teacher failed me. The only class I've
I
ever
remember.
failed in my life, and it was because again, some of these teachers were really meticulous about some of the stuff, and she failed me for like not. It was something about not having the book in the right order or all of the submissions that I needed to have, and I failed. And that was like a $4,000 class.
$4,000, yeah, $3,000 to $4,000.
And I had to retake that class.
Wow, I remember that.
I was so mad.
Yeah, and so that's important to note. It's like your experience at the school, depending on the professors and how good the professors were, how much they cared about you as a student, and obviously the peers around you. I think for me, we had a good class. We had some good professors, but there's a lot that remained to be sort of seen as far as when you're graduating and the jobs that you were going to get.
Which has nothing to do with our professors. That's more of like the administrative.
That's the administrative
aspect of the college or the university, which is what is coming into play here.
Right. So they asked that question. I feel like it's an online question. It's like, do you need to go to art school to be a graphic designer? And
what do you mean? Who asked you that?
I'm saying that's an online question. Do you need to go to art school to be a graphic designer? And people that say yes, other people that say no. I say maybe. I mean,
hello. We went to art school at least 10 years ago. And yes, you needed to go to art school.
Well, then at that time,
design.
100%.
Yes. Now
100%.
it's a different story.
Now it's a different story. Yes. Yeah. Because back then it's like on your resume, you had to have a bachelor's in graphic arts, or our bachelor was in fine arts. I think
there was no YouTube. There was nothing. Yeah. How the heck were you going to learn?
Exactly. I remember, well, shout out to DeviantArt. That's where I did a lot of my stuff, but
all right, get back to your story about 2019.
I'm talking about different things.
You were in the studio.
I know. So I just want to send a shout out to all the people that we graduated with and all the professors that went to the Art Institute. They're the ones that made that experience awesome, you know. And it wasn't until which is Miami International University of Art and Design is where we went to. And it wasn't until I think you went that we started noticing like the decline of when professors left. You remember that? Mm-hmm. So, all right, let me get back. Fast forward 2019. I hear about this and I sign up for it. I send it to some of my friends as well, some of my college alums from the Art Institute, because I truly felt like I did everything on my end, and I feel like the school on their end, they didn't meet their end of the bargain. How do you say that?
Yeah, meet their end of the bargain.
The end of the bargain. They just wanted my money, but they didn't necessarily set me up for a win when I graduated. And the art director role that I got was because I found it, and the leads that I got was because I made those leads happen. When I say I'm like, of course, the Lord helped me get those. But I was one that.
Bro, you went from art school to art director?
Yeah. Yes, but I was an art director. But remember, I was in the industry for a long time.
Still,
so
bro, what in the world?
Yes, I mean, shout out to Chris at Onyx.
Sure, but like
remote, by the way, a remote art director.
Bro,
a remote art director.
The rest of us. We're not in an art director.
Yeah. But I worked really hard, man. And I worked for 10 years.
I'm not devaluing or disqualifying everything you did. I'm just saying most people don't graduate art school for graphic design and they end up as their first official job out of art school. You're an art director.
I know. I feel like I did pay my dues, you know.
Did.
But I get what you're saying. A lot of time it's like junior designer and internship at Friends with You and like whatever. Anyway, so I'm still in 2019. It's 2019. There's our 10 minutes in, and sign up, whatever. I forgot I even did this. I forgot I signed up to be part of this class action lawsuit with like, I don't know, 600,000 or whatever it was, other students. And I didn't, it's like you do this stuff and you hope in a prayer, right? Like, what are the chances that this is actually going to happen?
It's like an AT&T lawsuit and you get like 25 cents.
Exactly. Class action lawsuit. $1 billion and you get like a check for like $1. So it was one of those things that I completely forgot about it. We lived our life. We had the studio. I went to work at Royal Caribbean. I worked to work at Spotify. It wasn't until last year that I get a message. Remember, we're talking about May 1st now, which is where everything happened there. Mine's was different. Mine was last year. And I know that the Biden administration have been pushing for the student relief, was controversial, whatever. I mean, I was for it, of course, because I had this debt, and I feel like other countries, not to get on a grandstand, but other countries, Germany, Sweden, I think France, they offer free university. It's free. Like, to them, it doesn't even make sense that we have to pay when obviously there's taxes you have to pay, and you have to, they pay their dues. But I just got a message today of somebody from Germany. He was like, me looking from, like, eating popcorn, me looking from Germany with my 100% free tuition, like, now understanding why the US is the way it is. Anyway, so I got a message that I think my credit score went up. And it was, that's what it was. And then I'm sharing a lot of information. My credit score went up because of like a payment or something that was debt that was eliminated. And it was, I think, $50,000, I think. And I was like, what? Obviously, I thought it was fraud. And I got super scared. And I'm going Experian and I see what's going on. I call the company and I tell them, I'm like, hey, I'm calling because, this happened and I'm pretty sure this isn't right. And, it's too good to be true. And I remember that guy specifically, he was, let me look into it. He was like, actually, you're right. It is too good to be true. But today is your day because it's actually true. And I was like, I didn't want to get emotional, but I was like, Jesus. I sat right here and I was like looking at the computer just in shock as to what did just happen. And it was because this Sweet versus, now I got to it. This Sweet versus Devils, which is Devils was Betsy Devils, which is the Department of Education, the head under Trump's administration, and now it's Sweet versus Cardona. So I'm going to read to you exactly what happened and what it was. This was a lawsuit against predatory lending from for-profit schools. 150 schools were involved in this sort of situation. And so the Sweet versus Devils, remember, this was under the Trump administration at first. They kind of dragged their feet as far as like claiming the bar of defense. So I had to Google it so that you guys understand. So it's a lawsuit filed against the U.S. Department of Education. It challenged the department's policies regarding the loan forgiveness for students defrauded by for-profit colleges, particularly the delay in processing claims under the borrow defense to repayment program. The lawsuit aimed to compel the department to process these claims efficiently and provide relief to affected students, right? The plaintiffs argued that the U.S. Department of Education, under Betsy DeVos, right, secretary, they were unlawfully delaying, essentially. These students sought relief under the borrow defense, right, which I already read. And the lawsuit alleged that the department's delays in processing these claims left many students burdened with debt they should not have had to repay. The plaintiffs argued that the delays violated federal law and due process rights. Ultimately, which is where it's at, the case highlighted the tension between the interests of the defrauded students seeking relief and the department's approach to regulating for-profit colleges. While the lawsuit was ongoing, it brought attention to challenges faced by students defrauded by predatory institutions and the importance of timely processing of their claims for loan forgiveness. That's sort of like the gist. You guys can Google it. I will put the link on studentaid.gov. There's a whole thing there that you guys can read up on it. I was like, obviously, just flabbergasted, I guess, that I was a recipient of it. And Kary was super happy for me. She was still paying her loans, because hers was, I think, private loans. Mine were like federal loans, which is different. And then most recently, the last, which was, I think, around $7,000 that was left, which I think was part of this May 1st one, was completely eliminated. So, I said a lot. That's sort of the gist of everything. That's sort of where we're at. Now, should it have happened? That's where people are like, why? I paid for my loans all the way. Why can't you pay for your loans or whatever? That's what sort of the common argument. And or people are just like, why are my taxes going to? Someone literally left me a comment saying, why do my taxes have to pay for your stupid decisions? And I was like, I kindly replied that it's a lot more nuanced and a lot more.
I'm not sure it was stupid. It was education in
right.
a field where mostly, if you go to a regular university, by regular I mean an FIU,
community
a Harvard, they're not very known for having great graphic design programs. So you generally go to art school, or you go to SCAD, or you go to what's the one in New York?
The branding school. So
Yes. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's where you go. So it's not a stupid decision. It was the options that we had available to us at that time.
right.
And just to clarify for us, like Angel and I had every intention of paying back our student
Right.
debt, and we chipped at it as best we could. You're talking about between both of us close to $200,000 of student debt.
Right.
Because I had 90, you had 50,
Right.
and you know we live in Miami. We're just trying to make a living in Miami just by itself.
Right.
On top of that, we have like every loan you take out is like at least $250.
Right.
You know, and so if you have two, like in my case, I had a private and a federal. That's $500 in loans. Which,
Right.
hey, and there were seasons when we could pay them, and there were other seasons where it's like I have to like make a decision here. You
Right.
know, and so all that to say, it wasn't a stupid decision.
No, it wasn't. And yeah, and I'll say that one of the people that commented on something, because I have posted it on threads for, I don't even know why I posted it there, and I forgot to thank the administration, right? And there were people called me ungrateful. It was honestly, I didn't think anybody was gonna read it. I thank Jesus, but the person was saying, some dad was saying, I worked my butt off, and my son had $240,000 of debt, and I paid for that. You know, I worked really hard and whatever, and I sacrificed for him, whatever. I'm like, great, man. I'm glad you were able to do that. But that's not the world we live. That was maybe in the 90s. That's something that they could have done when houses were cheaper and the salary to house income, the salary income to house cost was like very close, you know. But that's something in the last 10 years, 15 years, even that's hard to do if you're someone that doesn't come from old money, or someone that doesn't come, I don't know what we consider ourselves, like lower middle class. I don't know, bro. Maybe, and we're not at the poverty line, but we're not also like middle class, you know, making, you know, double six figures on our end, you know. So we just made the best decision that we had. And even at that time when I went to school, I was barely making $30,000 a year, but I knew that I needed, or I thought I needed a bachelor's degree to go to, you know, to become a creative director at some point in the future. And that's usually, at that time, that's how it worked, you know. So I have no regrets, and yeah, every intention to pay it back. I'm super thankful that this happened. I hope that they continue to give relief to other people that need it. And if I can grandstand a little bit, right? I don't want to get too deep into it, but I feel like the U.S. government wastes so much money on other things and wars that we don't need to be involved in, or other things that just billions of dollars is just wasted. I think the military budget last year was almost $1 trillion. And I feel like, why can't the U.S. government invest in the citizens here, you know, with affordable like healthcare, or like housing for veterans, or like, you know, social services for like taking care of your kids. Like other Western countries do it so well. They pay higher taxes, but the value that they get. I just read this yesterday, that the Sweden is one of the happiest, some of the happiest citizens. They pay a lot of taxes, but they're happy with the value that they get back from, which is childcare, healthcare, free university, and all this other stuff. And they're still like a democratic republic. So, anyway, that's my grandstanding, babe. Anyway, that's sort of where we're at now, and that's sort of what happened. Let's see where it goes from here. This is from this recording. I know that there's still people that are pending, people that are waiting, and hopefully they get it. I don't know. What are your thoughts? That's all I got.
Yeah. I mean, I think I shared everything. It is what it is. It's kind of my stance on life overall. You know, I don't know everything. You know, I don't know, like when you talk about money being wasted into the military, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
We don't know.
We don't know.
You know, like
you're right. You're right.
You know,
you're absolutely right. This is
there
like
was,
a hot take.
I was in a meeting once, like in a workplace, and somebody in authority said, you know, like there might be things that you don't agree with or whatever, but just remember that you don't have the full picture. Yeah. You have 10% of a picture depending on what you do.
Yeah.
And you don't have the full 360. So I don't love taking stances on like
sure.
this is right or this is wrong, because I just don't know all the ins and outs of things. I just know for me in my life, like, I'm very grateful for it, that it happened. If it's undone, I'm going to keep doing my life the same way that I've been doing it. You know what I mean? And I will, like, when it's Avon's turn, talk to him about it, caution him, help prepare him. If he does need to take out loans, we don't know what that world's going to look like,
20 years from
17, now. It was 17 years from now or something. But definitely doing what I can to then set up my son and the future generations with the things that I can control. I cannot control a government making a decision and then I have to pay more taxes. I can control to some degree in an election, but I can't control all of the nuances of all of the decision making. So that's kind of where I'm just at with it. And I respect everybody's opinion, and it's just like, let's just be respectful. And I'll say that I do want to know, like, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Like, I want to know what you think, because actually I did mention earlier, like, I don't watch news and things like that. So, like, it helps keep me informed, and I actually value listening to people's perspectives and the things that, like, annoy them or tick them off. I think it just makes us empathize better. At least for me, it does. So you let us know, but just respectfully towards each other.
Sure. Yes.
We don't need to have conversations that are offensive or rude or mean or whatever. We can have healthy convos. And so if you're going to be in the comments, just keep it nice.
I know. Look, I'll say that I think the stance that you have, which is kind of like, we don't know, which is true. That's the stance that I feel like you have a better sort of understanding or a better way of looking at it. I know I'm very like
it's just
shotgun,
toxic.
and I know it can be.
Toxic.
So even if you guys disagree or if you think that we should pay it back, like as long as it's a discourse that's productive and it comes from a place of learning and understanding, I'm always down to have it, and I'm always down to get my mind changed or disagree on certain things, but I'm just thankful that it happened. And like you said, if it gets undone, we'll just keep moving forward and pay it, but hopefully now we can use that to invest on something else here, so
praise God.
Right?
That'd be awesome. I would really like to have
put the money
house.
back. We're going to put the money back here anyway.
I just really want to have a house. That's all. I've been wanting that for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen. We'll see. Well, guys, thank you for hanging with us for the last hour or so. And thanks for the last wonderful year that you've given us. It's been super fun to have these conversations with you guys, to read your messages, your comments, and just to see the growth of the channel. We're going to keep showing up and having combos with you guys about different things, whether it's our professional careers in graphic design or entrepreneurship or personal things like this one, or parenthood.
Controversial.
Yes. We'll bring it to the table. I think it'll be helpful. And
that's it. Keep making beautiful things. And as always, the best things
are made in house.
We'll see you.
Bye.
Thank you for joining Made in House. On your way out, if you would be so kind to follow, subscribe and or like our episode in the relevant social media platforms. Feel free to share this episode with your colleagues. And, as always, keep making beautiful things.